The testimony by the January 6th committee investigating crimes by Donald Trump, which to me is treason, where he defamed a poll worker and her family, her mother and her grandmother. They were simple people doing civic duties, helping with the polls for 10 years. And Donald Trump called them scammers. Rudy Giuliani said they were passing things around in the polling area like it was cocaine and crack. And I guess Rudy Giuliani should know about passing things around that are cocaine and crack. Here he called her a scammer and a professional vote swindler. To the nation, to the world, he said these things. Caused tremendous damage to her emotionally, to her job. She's in fear for her life. She's in fear for her safety. I cried when I saw this testimony, and it reminded me so much of the Ku Klux Klan, where people would set out to hurt minorities, mainly blacks, who were just living out their lives. But you could easily pin things on blacks because they were going to have little money and, being just regular people, no influence. So as the President of the United States, a person who has taken an oath to work for the American people, it was easy for him to go out and defame this woman and cause extreme emotional distress to her mother. Her mother had to leave her home for over 2 months in fear of being found and killed. And then the grandmother was affected because Trump's followers, the gang, the Mafia, the Trump Mafia went to the grandmother. Here is the grandmother testifying. No, this is the mother testifying. She had to quit her business. She can't publicize her business. She can't say her name around town, so that affects her business. She is now a pauper because she can't work. She was an entrepreneur, and now she can't work. And then the grandmother was also affected because some of the Trump gang, Mafia, pushed into the grandmother's house, pushed past the grandmother, went through the grandmother's house looking for these people, saying, "We know they're in there." And then they rifled through her house, saying they were looking for them. And the grandmother, who's in her 70s, was terrified and remained terrified because she didn't know when these people were coming back, what they were going to be doing. And then they were sending pizzas. They were ordering tons of pizzas and sending them to the grandmother's house. And the grandmother would then meet with a pizza delivery guy who would expect her to pay for these things. So she was out a lot financially if she paid for any. And then you don't even know if these pizzas are tainted. I mean, they may have been spat upon or poisoned or who knows what. So these people have a great case of defamation. I think they are owed money by the United States government because they knew what was going on and could have stopped it. I think they're owed money by Trump, and I think Trump should pay about at least $150 million per person to the daughter, to the mother, and to the grandmother. And I think Rudy Giuliani should also pay $150 million to each of the affected people. These people are now abandoned, stranded, and saying, "I'm sorry, we understand your plight," is not enough. They need to be able to move on and live as they want to in safety. That will mean moving out of the area, getting a new house, establishing a new life, and they're probably not going to be working because their names are going to be so recognizable throughout the United States and throughout the world that they will not be able to work. So I think 150 million from Trump, 150 million from Giuliani for each of these three people. And there were even more affected because the daughter said everyone who was volunteering at the voting polls quit after they saw the kind of problems she encountered when Donald Trump started calling out her name and calling her names and saying she was a criminal and saying she was on cocaine and crack and so forth. Just horrible. I've cried. I cried at this whole thing. And not only must we give an emotional support to this woman, but we need to give financial. These people were helping us out. They were doing their civic duties, and they had been doing it for 10 years. And to have some man, a white man, who at the head of the United States start calling them derogatory names, defaming them in public, and creating problems to their safety, to their housing, as he did with others also, cannot be tolerated. We must move to make sure we compensate in any way we can these individuals and others that have come forward, including the governor of Georgia, who talked about his problems when Trump started broadcasting his address and people started coming to his house and his daughter-in-law's house and yelling threats and becoming dangers to their safety, and now their safety will be continually in danger because Trump broadcast their telephone numbers, their email addresses, and their housing addresses. So what do you think? Like and subscribe.